In the studio with us is Indiana Borough Police Chief Justin Schawl. Joining us on this Tuesday morning, our conversation is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Chief Schawl, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us today. We, of course, had District Attorney Manzi with us last hour talking about the drug bust last week, the multi-state drug operation that actually originated here in Indiana County with members of your police force, as a matter of fact.
That's right. I had the honor on Friday of joining DA Manzi and several other partners in Pittsburgh, and it was an announcement and I suppose a deserving celebration of a long-time investigation that culminated in a large number of arrests, involved many agencies. I think there were 13 organizations represented at that press conference, and if there were 13 represented, there were probably at least 30 that participated along the way. And so DA Manzi's been a great partner to the Indiana Borough Police Department, a great partner at Indiana County residents, and we're working very hard at the Indiana Borough Police Department to be that same great partner, not only to the District Attorney's Office, but also to our federal partners and our state partners who are involved in investigations like that. So I'm just honored to represent Indiana Borough's effort and the men and women of the Indiana Borough Police Department who worked so hard during that investigation.
When you have these large-scale drug busts like we had that involve raids all over Indiana County, but in other states and other jurisdictions here in Pennsylvania, the investigations themselves can be triggered by any number of things. A traffic stop can lead to some big major drug operation. Somebody who informs you that there's some suspicious activity at a home, and so you begin watching that home and you see the activities going on there. Something that might seem innocent to others, but might raise an alarm bell with a police officer. All of those things are important, and you have to pay attention to every single one of them, don't you?
You're absolutely right. Everything is important. And, investigations, not only drug investigations, but all investigations could start with a uniformed police officer making a discovery, an investigation that's conducted by officers out of uniform, a neighbor's tip. You really never know. And, that's why we say traffic stops and are not only unpredictable and dangerous, but they're a very important and effective tool in uncovering a lot of the things that perhaps wouldn't be uncovered. So we have officers all over Indiana County doing things in uniform and out of uniform for the betterment of our residents, and it's all important.
DA Manzi was talking about this in the last hour as well. What other job is there where any second somebody's life could be changed or even taken? And I was talking about the fact that, police officers have to carry Narcan kits for their own selves, for their own safety and protection, because there could be accidental exposure to a very dangerous subject like a substance such as fentanyl, and that all of a sudden becomes a life or death moment. That's
right. I'm blessed and have been blessed to spend my entire career with very brave women and men in law enforcement. And, they're highly skilled, compassionate. They're building relationships in the right way, not only relationships in the community, but also relationships with partners at, again, our state and federal level. It really is a wide-ranging and excellent image of what a police officer is. And, we don't underestimate the danger. We don't underestimate the danger for us. We don't underestimate the danger for the community. We don't underestimate the danger for our partners. But again, we have excellent resources here in Indiana County. We have excellent resources and even a broader level, which I think was on display or should have been on display with the announcement of the significant drug arrest on Friday, because it takes everyone. We're all better together. We're all safer working together, and we're all plugging in for each other, whether we see it or whether someone is able to point it out on the street in any moment doesn't mean that it's not occurring behind the scenes. And it takes both efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that was one thing that I wanted to speak with you about. Another thing was the fact that, we're getting to the spring of the year, and there are some events coming up that will have a lot of people in town. And you're not only involved in the big-time drug bust, but, traffic enforcement, strangers coming to town, and they need help from the police getting around to where it is that they need to be. And sometimes they might make a wrong turn down a street, and there could be an accident. So always got to be vigilant about all of that. And some big events are on the way.
So there are some big events on the way, and you're absolutely right. Being a police department in a community like Indiana requires you to wear many hats. It requires you to be skilled in many areas. So March is going to be a busy month for not only Indiana Borough, but our general region. And we're already planning and preparing and have been planning and preparing for the month of March. But just a few things. Our IUP basketball teams had some great success this year, and that success has enabled them to host the Atlantic Region Tournament, which takes place, I believe, March 11th, the week of March 11th through the 14th. And then right on the heels of that, the KCAC is hosting, and Indiana is hosting the Keystone State Wrestling Tournament, which is going to bring an influx of out-of-town visitors and probably local residents to downtown and to the KCAC. And then we have St. Patrick's Day, which is always a celebratory weekend, and then we prepare for informal celebrations of St. Patrick's Day, which have traditionally occurred within our community. So we're prepared on several fronts. It's going to be great in and of the fact that we're going to highlight Indiana. But the public safety concern is always there. Mm-hmm. The danger is always real. So we need to be careful that we're monitoring traffic, that we're monitoring pedestrians crossing the street, that we're asking the folks who are listening on the radio and who are following us to slow down, be patient. There are going to be people perhaps making wrong turns. There are going to be parents and frustrated that they can't get somewhere quickly from out of town. And, we need to be not only respectful of that, but have plans in place that we can affect that positively. So lots of things going on that we're planning for March. And so with all good things comes a responsibility of public safety, and that's where we're plugging in at.
Yeah, with the basketball coming this weekend for the Atlantic Regional, with the wrestling tournament bringing 10,000 people, they're saying, to the KCAC the following weekend.
Yep.
There are going to be a lot of pedestrian traffic downtown. Folks are, they're not going to be at the basketball games all the time. They're going to be looking for a place to eat. They might be walking downtown, visiting the Jimmy Stewart Museum or some of the downtown attractions. All of those will put people on the streets that are unfamiliar with the town, the walking patterns, and people behind the wheel of a car have to watch out for someone stepping out.
That's right. And the nice weather is going to bring us out to give us more reasons to walk around. So it's all connected. And, fortunately, Indiana Borough and Indiana County have great people in place who are always navigating these moments for everyone, whether it's seen or unseen. So there's going to be a lot coming up this next month, and we're going to make sure that it's successful for everyone and as safe for everyone as possible.
Yeah. For folks who live in town, and we deal with this all the time, you mentioned the informal celebration of St. Patrick's Day, known as IU Patties. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. And whether there is going to be an increase in the number of folks who are celebrating in town or not, you have to be prepared as if there will be. And I know those are ongoing preparations. They don't just take place in the days or weeks leading up to it. It's almost a year-round thing, isn't it? It is a year-round.
It is a year-round planning because we're always connecting with our partners. We're always talking about what information is available. We're talking about how can we plug in to make this year more successful than last year from a public safety standpoint or from a community safety and success standpoint. So planning is involved in everything that we do. And when we have an opportunity to anticipate or to expect certain events, we can handle those events very well. The issue that we've experienced with this celebratory weekend in the past is that it can be unpredictable. It's it's organically grown. It's not a university sanctioned event, and it never was. So the first year, perhaps we were caught a bit off guard by as a community by the level of activity that took place. But in every year since, we have not been. And so we're always hoping for the best, preparing for the worst, connecting with our partners, making sure that resources are in town so that if we need them, they're immediately available because the goal is to have a community that's safe and to have a first responder effort that's safe as well.
Yeah, we recall a few years ago fire vehicles having difficulty getting to the scene of a fire. And anything that, could very quickly become a tragic situation is something you want to avoid. And yeah, it costs money to bring extra law enforcement to town, extra resources into town. But in the end, we just have to build that into what we do because of the idea that we want to keep everybody safe. And so it calls for people to be responsible. And I know that you would love for that to happen. Sometimes people aren't. and therefore police have to step in. But we're hoping for the best.
We do hope for the best. We're committed to being good stewards of the funds that are available, but we're never going to risk safety for a dollar amount. And, the safety of your family is priceless to me. The safety of the families of people walking on the street, there's no price tag to be put on that. So as long as we're responsible in the way that we go about things, we train throughout the year for a multitude of events. So highly skilled, compassionate police officers and police efforts, good equipment, resources of our partners, positive relationships. These are all things. Nothing happens in the moment just because we've put something together in the moment. It's a bigger picture. It's always been a bigger picture, whether we're front and center or whether we're behind the scenes. And that's the way it's going to continue, because that's the way that you achieve public safety success.
A lot of unfamiliar faces coming to town here in the next couple of weekends. The situation calls for a nice friendly dog too, doesn't it?
That's right. Axel will be out and about for sure. And always a great resource. Just allows us to plug in a different way, complement our partners, because if one of them needs a therapy dog for anything that they're doing or a sensitive investigation, they certainly are going to be extended the use of Axel. And likewise, there are other dogs in law enforcement that we use, and when we call, they're always available to us. So again, it's an expanded network. We're all better together, and things that happen in Indiana Borough aren't just happening in Indiana Borough. And things that happen in White Township aren't just happening in White Township. These things, the boundaries are political, but all the roads connect, and there are no walls or fences or doors that people have to walk through to get from one community to the next. So we all have to work together while we're achieving success for our individual communities.
Axel's been here for over a year now, and has been a fully operational part of the police force. I'm sure that the members of the staff at Indiana Borough Police really appreciate having somebody who's that sort of an influence on their day.
Axel's just as important inside the walls of the police department as he is outside the walls of the police department. He may be the busiest police officer in Indiana Borough, and by virtue of that, his handler, Sergeant Hogue, is likely the most active in seeking positive impact for sure within Indiana Borough. But everywhere I go, I'm preceded by Axel, or the comment of, "Where's Axel? I was hoping that Axel would be here." So, to be upstaged by your canine partners, it's an experience that we have to get used to, but it also means that he's effective. And that's really the important thing.
Yeah.
Not only for the community, but for the officers, because stress levels are high, things are dangerous. We all need a level of comfort in our lives, and comfort was a commodity that was short for the past few years. So we're working to rebuild that.
Terrific stuff. Chief Schawl, thanks so much for coming to visit with us today. We appreciate it. Best of fortunes here in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.